Well, I'm still a little sweaty from diving through the archive this morning, going through the storage to find some relics here as we come upon the 10th anniversary of the Volumes program. There's one, a mock-up of the first Volumes webpage. But the first mention, you like that?
I do like that.
You like that? I drew a pretty good square.
That is a good square.
Sorry. The first mention I could find of a limited edition pencil program, marketing and growth ideas for 2013.
Okay.
First mention, 2013. And then I found notes. I was in Chicago and I stopped and saw Michelle from Field Notes. Spent some time with her and picked their brain because they had a similar program to what we were talking about. And she talked about some landmines and some things to avoid. So shout out to the folks at Field Notes for helping us as we were trying to figure out what to do with this program. That was August 2014. And the first mention of the name.
Okay.
The name of the program.
The name Volumes.
The name Volumes stack that I could find in writing was October of 2014.
October 2014.
And I remember the aha moment for me was when we figured out that the design would tie to a model number, right? So we weren't going to put a name on the pencil, the model number in the tradition of the 602 and the way that Blackwing came up, had the original model numbers. We were going to tie that into a story and the design.
Right. Do you remember how we came up with the name, though? Do you have... I can tell you how I remember it. I can tell you how I remember it. So I remember we're sitting in the back of that little house we used to work out.
Oh, the first office we had.
Yeah, it was
just a house.
Well, in the office we were in was essentially a storage closet.
Windows.
No, yeah, storage roof. Exactly.
Right above my desk.
Exactly. It was basically a storage closet. So we're like surrounded by books. And I remember looking at one of those bookshelves. Okay. And we'd come up with this idea, what we wanted to do with the program, how we wanted pencils to tell stories, right? To be news stories to tell, because we've been telling this $40 pencil story for 5 years at this point, basically. And we wanted news stories to tell.
When I hired you, you remember that? I said, what do you do? And you said, I'm a storyteller. Right. I said, but what do you do? You said, I'm a storyteller. You're hired.
That's it. And so we knew that these pencils were going to tell stories. And I remember looking at the bookshelf and looking at all of, I think they were like the history, they were like botany books that Charles had. Do you remember those books that Charles had?
I believe you.
They were botany books. And they were like edition 1, edition 2, edition 3, edition 4. And I remember looking at them and thinking, if each pencil could be a story, like one of these books. And I remember the first name I pitched. It was Issues. And then I believe it was you. You sat on it and came back and said, "What about Volumes?" And I'm so glad we didn't go with Issues because that sounds like we're starting a new metal band or something. But it could have been good. But that's how I remember us coming up with that name.
I just remember the roof leaking above my desk one time. You couldn't sit down. Yeah. But I do remember that. Yeah. I do remember that. I just remember it kind of clicked. That was the second kind of aha moment. I remember saying, okay, if we're going to do this, kind of the proof of concept was the reason the first edition was the Dylan Newport Folk Fest idea. Not only was it the 50th anniversary of Dylan plugging in at Newport, but I figured if we could partner with the Newport Folk Fest on this milestone that everyone was going to be talking about, and we could figure out how to put the sunburst finish from the strap that Dylan played onto a pencil. If we could do that and bring that all together, we could do just about anything. So that was why, if I remember correctly, why we chose that for the first edition.
Yeah, I mean, that was a story that I feel like really resonated with both of us. It was a story that we thought was one that had a lot of cultural impact, but not a lot of people knew about, and so that was, I mean, I feel like that's what we've tried to do with a lot of the different Volumes stories that we've told. It's like, these are things that are kind of woven into our culture. These are things that people have been influenced by without really knowing why or knowing the full story behind. And so, that one I think was a no-brainer. And when it comes to the design, that was it, because we hadn't, up till that point, we'd only done solid painted one color pencils, and there wasn't really.
There's nothing close to a sunburst.
Yeah. And there was no template for this kind of thing. So we had to figure out,
We didn't have much real estate, right, on a pencil.
no.
And on notebooks, the other thing, there was a little bit more opportunity, but on a pencil.
It's a very, very unique canvas, and it's one that you have to really, it constrains you, but then that helps make.
But that's why the number worked.
Exactly, because it wasn't just like the stories that we were telling. When we talk about stories, we're not talking just about like the written thing that's on the box, right? The written thing that's on the box, that's just a piece of it. Whatever we put on social media, we put on the website, it's just a piece of it. The stories that we wanted to tell were that, plus what's the pencil look like? What's the design of the pencil? And what is the number? What's the model? How does that tie in to the whole thing? And that's kind of the whole story that we're telling, right? It's hitting different pieces.
We were so naive back then. I remember thinking, okay, let's reach out to Newport and see if they'll want to do it. I remember thinking that somebody asked us, do we have the rights to do it? So what do you mean the rights? We're honoring these people, right? We were doing so few of them at that time. We weren't really making a lot of money. It was more like we were trying to honor people.
Right.
And so we obviously worked with Newport. I remember thinking, well, somebody suggested, well, do you have Dylan's approval? I remember thinking, well, we don't need Dylan's approval because we're just telling a story about Newport, but maybe we should see what we can do. And I remember reaching out. We reached out to his people. And I just remember the note we got back was Bob Digton. I remember thinking, okay, that's some sort of validation where we've got this idea. If he digs it, then we're doing something right.
Yeah. That one was, the whole thing was a learning process, obviously, but I don't know if you remember, first of all, I don't know, do you remember what Dave said when we tried to do that sunburst pencil?
I have an idea. I can't.
I just remember him walking in the back room and saying, there's no way you're going to be able to do this. There's no way you're going to be able to put this on a pencil. And,
We used to hear a lot of that back then.
we did used to hear it a lot.
It was basically you and I just making shit up. Yeah, that was the business at that point. We had 4 or 5 people working solely on this business. Yes. Yeah. That's it. It was you and I in a windowless room with a leaky roof. Making shit up.
Yeah, a leaky roof that did collapse on your desk at one point.
Sure. Which is why we now have a real office with a drum kit, guitars. Yeah.
But I also remember when we printed the first batch of sleeves for the packaging of the Newport Folk Festival. The first batch had an error. We forgot the registration mark next to, I believe it was next to the Newport Folk Festival name. And so we had to get a little die, a little typeset die, and literally we were hammering each one for the first set. That was why we were hammering the R symbol, the registered symbol, into each sleeve by hand.
And we went to Newport that year.
And we did go to Newport that year,
which was actually a lot of fun. We had a table where we sold gear. I remember being from us to this wall for Leon Bridges. I had never heard of Leon Bridges until that point. And you looked right there sitting in a booth as he played.
Yeah, he was on the side stage, basically.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
And then I remember it was like the last day or towards the last day, and a guy comes up and says, I'll take 10 of everything.
Yeah.
I already know that we had 10 of everything. No.
I don't think we did, but do you remember who he was buying that for?
Yes. Yes. He said, I'm the manager of the Decemberists, and I want to buy stuff for the crew. And since he wiped us out, he invited us side stage to watch the show.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool.
That was cool.
It's a lot. And all the controversy of that year was because it was the 50th anniversary. The Sunday headliner was listed as TBA. So the rumors were Dylan was going to come back and play that year. That's what everybody was expecting. And remember, there was a rumor somebody saw Eric Clapton's yacht out at the harbor. So they thought Bob and Eric were rehearsing set.
Yeah, stupid thing. Yeah.
And then a lot of people felt let down because Bob didn't come Sunday night. And the headlining show was Dave Rollins, Gillian Welch, and Willie Watson, right? Which was a dream to me, but a lot of people were disappointed because they wanted Bob.
Yep.
Well, we got Dave Rollins' sheet, which was pretty cool. 10 years ago. 10. That's wine. Then the next number 2 was the John Muir pencil,
That's right.
which
211.
all I remember about that is launches were a big deal back then. We were scared to click the button that would launch the web page or the video, because it was like, what if something's wrong? We can have a lot of eyes on this.
No, we didn't have any eyes. Yeah, we had our eyes on it. And like you said, we didn't know what we were doing. We were trying to figure it out as we went. So,
And our goal was to make enough pencils to last until the next edition came out. So essentially 3 months.
that was always the goal. And we completely whiffed it on the 211. Completely missed the mark.
I went to get us sandwiches.
Yeah.
And I came back.
Sold out.
What do you mean we're sold out?
We're done.
What do you mean?
You're all gone. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. But that one, the design, at least on that one, was easy to execute. So that didn't give us any headaches. But
A little known fact is that we keep 100 of every set in the archive, in our archive. And we do not have an archive for the John Muir pencil because we oversold it. We have 2.5 boxes?
we have a few loose sticks, basically.
That's it?
That are just kind of floating around. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you said, I'll never forget, you came with the idea, I want to put a movie on a pencil. Yeah. I thought you were crazy, but go for it.
Yeah, and we found there was this freeware program that lets you basically condense a movie into a.
That's right.
Yeah, and it just basically you take the file, you throw it into the software, and then it condenses it down into what they call a barcode, movie barcode, and then we took that, vectorized it, and put it on the pencil. It was a trip to the moon. So yeah, that was again when we didn't have any experience with licensing. We didn't have any experience with anything like that. So we just were like, okay, what's a really influential movie that is in the public domain that we don't, need to worry about, getting permission or something like that for. So, and film, I studied film in college. I like that kind of stuff. So
I got the original list I found this morning.
the OG list.
OG list.
Okay.
When we first decided to do this program, our dream list of subject matter for the volumes. We knocked a lot of these off. Well, these were circled back then. Vin Scully. We never made a Vin Scully pencil. We did. But we've actually knocked off a lot of these on this list. What's on that list? Well, there's a couple of people that have been canceled, so it's a good thing we didn't do those. Wow. It's funny. Amazing what could happen in 10 years. I don't want to give them away because some of these we might do.
Well, who's on the list that we did do?
Robinson
Okay.
on the list. Which first video? You remember the first video?
I do.
You made that.
I do. No, we had TJ from
That's right.
from Wooden Graphite helped us with that, and but I did do the voiceover in my car with a little microphone attached to my iPhone.
A lot of people may not know that you're aspiring voice actor.
Right. Yeah, I do like to make voices. I like to do voices, and so that's one of my credits is doing the voiceover in my car for the Volumes launch video.
That's the one you did the voiceover.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Mobile studio.
Yeah, but you're there's a 42 in that, and we knew from the beginning like Jackie Robinson's got to be.
42 is an iconic number. He's associated with it. Obviously, every major league team retired that number, so that's on the list. What was your most memorable addition that we've done? Not just the pencil itself, but the process. A lot goes into these that a lot of people don't know. From the writing of the story, which can take, in some cases, 40 to 50 revisions.
That takes a lot.
The back and forth we do on the stories is pretty cool, but most memorable.
It's got to be. It's for sure the Steinbeck pencil. It's 100%. Volume 24. Not only because of, my relationship to John Steinbeck and his work, but because we got to meet with Tom. We got to meet with Gail. We got to actually go down to their home. They invited us into their home.
The blog post is still out there somewhere, right? That we
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like being able to literally sit on their couch and just talk for an afternoon, hearing, stories about John and
direct descendants from John Steinbeck.
Exactly.
Edie Guthrie.
yeah. No, absolutely. And it was being able to, for some of these things, it's really fun to have the kind of creative freedom to figure out what the pencil is going to look like and really, try to explore like, how is this pencil going to tell a story? But being able to sit down with Tom and for him to tell us, this is what my dad's pencil would look like if he could have the perfect pencil, and just be able to create that thing. So that's no doubt the most memorable for me.
And we met Johnny.
And we met Johnny. We did. We got to meet Johnny.
Bonus ever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now become a dear friend of both of ours. Is probably our biggest ambassador for the brand.
For sure.
And I talk about it being you and I, because in the early days it was just us making stuff up and trying to figure out how to get pencils in the hands of more people. But there was a lot of other people I think we should recognize that I made this product, because it began, after this initial list, the team grew, and Deanne was a big part of it, and Anne-Marie and Andrew, obviously.
And David and his team getting all the subscriptions out before the rest, and Charles for all of his support.
That was the first year, right? Those are the first three. It was Newport, it was Muir, it was Trip to the Moon, and then it was Steinbeck. So that's the first four. Yeah.
Yeah. As I look back, I think the one that, I don't know, that kind of, to me, that's the biggest validation of the program, was when we did the Guy Clark pencil, which, I mean, that was an emotional one for me, because I had a chance to know Guy a little bit over the years. He was a musical hero of mine. And throughout the process, I got to know his son, Travis, as we worked through and designed that pencil. And then Travis tragically passed away a week before the pencil came out.
That's right.
And Andrew worked. And it sucks, because it sucks for a number of reasons. But I remember about 2 weeks after that one came out, we got an email from somebody, from a subscriber, subscribed to the program, had never heard of Guy Clark, got the Guy Clark pencils, did a deep dive, went in and listened to all his records, and was so moved, within 2 weeks, he sent us a picture of a tattoo on his arm of a lyric from Guy's song, The Cape. I remember thinking, here's a guy that had never heard of the music, discovered it through this program, was so moved by it that he tattooed a lyric on his arm. And so to me, that kind of epitomizes what we were trying to accomplish from day one. And we came up with this list and what we were trying to do with the program, because it was that act of discovery, not just the John Steinbecks of the world, but the Ada Lovelaces and the Guy Clarks.
That's what it's all about.
10 years.
A lot of stories, a lot of pencils.
Now we got to figure out what we do next. That list, still a lot of names on this list.
Still a lot of names on that list. I think we can figure something out.
I think we can too.